Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about this Starfall Starkiller Variant number 11. So obviously the main difference here is this kind of Arctic or white theme going on. So I'm not really sure what the direction from the client was, but yeah, really nice little white bit of paint. We don't have the brass strips, but we got a really cool looking grip. Really fits the theme, handmade box. You can tell most of these parts are machined by Nick, and then I think he uses an acrylic that's baked on, but don't quote me on this particular one. I'm not sure if he had this professionally done or not, but it does look like the baked on acrylic. So let's hop down to the table. Let's talk about it more in detail, what went on with the electronics on this install. We'll come back out, we'll show off a few blade styles, a couple fonts, a couple functions on how to use the Saber, because I believe this client is going to be new to the high-end Neopixel Proffie setup. So let's do that now. So here it is, Starfall Starkiller Variant number 11. We do have the exposed crystal chamber, and just like with most of these, in the back there is a strip that illuminates behind the mesh. So that'll mostly be in the on state. There are a couple presets where it also does something in the off state. But how we get to everything is we have a set screw for both the blade plug and for the grip. I'm going to go ahead and take out the blade plug to show off the emitter. This is the Shtok Eco V4. So this just does what the main blade does, but it's got plenty of Neopixels there to light up if you're just going to use the blade plug. And plenty of shine through there. I'm going to go ahead and leave that out for now. We've got this milled box that Nick does. So we've got the dome tactile switches. Top is our main, bottom is our aux. Tap the aux in the off state to cycle through presets. If you want to go backward in presets, you can point the hilt down and tap aux. You can also hold aux and you'll get into a rotary menu where it'll, sort of act like the CFX does. This does sport OS 7.15, Proffie v3.9, FET263 prop file. So we'll go ahead and open up the electronics here, or open up the grip. When you do unscrew the grip here at this set screw, do make sure that you back it off enough so that you're not scratching the rest of this. You'll see there's a little mark from the previous times. So this customer just kind of wanted a simple setup, but we do have upper and lower crystal chambers. So you can see these are different colors and they're doing different things in the off state. They're both illuminated by a single 50/50 PCB. The back has a strip of 15/15s. But yeah, I picked the white Proffie because I bought a few of these a while back to match the aesthetic. And then just the standard press fit PLA printed chassis. A battery wrap from Saberbay 18650 key power. And then we have the 28mm KR bass speaker. Sounds really good. But yeah, so let me just turn it on real quick. And so you can see that startup flashed white, and now there's a blue in the back of the strip. And now this is a solid color. And then that is going to mimic what the blade does. And then all of them react to blaster blocks with aux or clash and lockups and stuff like that. So we'll change presets. So we got our kill switch here. Configs on the SD card if you want to do any extra programming later on. I've provided the Starfall font package, 11 sound fonts, a 12th battery preset, just in case you want to cycle through. But this also has all of the OS voice packs that are character-based, based on if the font, I knew who the character was based on, and Brian Connor did one, I put that into that particular font. So for instance, if we do like a battery level 93%, that's going to be Vader. And then you can, if you get into edit mode, then Vader's voice will guide you through all the settings. There will be a printout with all of those settings, should you choose to do that. I don't demonstrate that here, but if we switch fonts, you can see we got two different shades of blue. And then again, there's nothing happening in the off state on the backing strip, but if we start it up, get a little bit of something, a little bit different this time around. So I just try to vary it up. And you can see that kind of on the back side here. And then this will just be covered up when the grip is on. So let's put a blade in it. This takes a 1-inch diameter Neopixel blade, and I have it set up for a full 36-inch, or if you have like the KR pixel stick, 132 pixels is what this is set for. So let me get that. I'm gonna use my 7/8 with an adapter here because it's my better blade to demonstrate with. So again, we've got a set screw at the top here, and it's the same as our grip retention. We'll just cinch down on that, make sure that the blade is resting firmly on the PCB pins. We have two different ways we can start it up. We can use the power, and then we'll just be in regular mode, or we have two gestures. We have twist on and thrust on, and those will get us into battle mode. I'll demonstrate that here in a second, but let's just start. So that's a force effect. I held power for 2 seconds and let go. If there are quotes on the font and you want to switch between force player and quote player, you can point the hilt down and hold power for 2 seconds. But we're going to switch back to force player. And the blade will animate for as long as a sound effect is played. Some force effects are longer than others, but it won't play if you're in quote player. So you can switch back and forth. So let's go back to the top. Celestial Starfall. So we can see there's that crystal. So I'm gonna go ahead and twist off. Now if I twist on, I'll be in battle mode. And if I clash the saber lightly, we will get glancing blows, just like we would if we were in regular mode. But if I do a hard clash, as long as my blade is still, I'll engage a lockup. And lockups are also tip effects, so if you're sideways, you'll get your melt. Right? And if you're facing down, you'll get your drag effect. Okay, so that is battle mode. Now you can, if you prefer the old-fashioned method, as long as you're holding one of the two buttons, power or aux, when you clash, see if I can do that real quick, then you'll engage a lockup. So as long as I'm holding that button, it'll engage that lockup. So that's just battle mode. So again, gesture controls will turn that on by default. So let's move on. So again, aux for blaster block. And again, since I'm in regular mode, if I hold aux and clash, I'll get lockup. For each preset, I have pre-designated a soundtrack to play. If you point the hilt straight up, you can engage that by, again, holding power for 2 seconds. Okay. And you can be in any orientation to turn it off. But if we want to enter track player mode, we need to be in any other position than vertical in the off state only, and hold power for 2 seconds. You'll get a quick chime that lets you know you're in track player, and then you can rotate the saber. One to the right will go forward, and to the left will go backwards. Alphanumerically, I've listed all of the tracks in the common folder, so they can be accessible from any preset whatsoever. And again, you just find one you want, and depending on whether you hit power or aux or some additional gesture, engages a certain type of play after that soundtrack. So that'll be on the printout. For the most part, I just do power. So let's demonstrate that real quick. So if I'm pointing sideways, hold power for 2 seconds. There's that chime. Now I'm rotating. Here, we'll do that one. I hit power, and now I can keep moving the saber. If you want to turn a track on and off when the blade is on, it has to be pointed up. But again, when the blade is on, you can only turn on the designated track. So let's do that again. Okay, so that's track player and just regular track mode. So again, for each preset, that is a different track, but you can choose any track from any preset if you go through track player mode. So I hope that makes sense. One thing to note with gestures, if there is a pre-on that particular blade style, a gesture will bypass. So let's jump to Ruin.
Hero's Journey.
So here we have one that has a pre-on. Now the only way to start with a pre-on is to use the power button. So it's just a quick little thing at the emitter, and then your ignition happens. So if I do a gesture, we won't see that, it'll just ignite. So let's demonstrate that real quick. Okay, so it's like a quick action to turn the blade on and off. So that will be on Ruin, and then the last 3 presets will also have that. Now, within any
Reconcile
preset, you can jump into color change mode on the fly, but it will only change the main blade. All of the accents stay where they're at. So we do that by holding aux and tapping power. So you got that little chime that lets you know.
Red, orange, red, dark orange.
And so this sounds like Obi-Wan from the
Gold,
from the prequels.
yellow, green, aquamarine, cyan.
Now you can get in between colors if you hold power as you twist. I never am able to demonstrate that.
Deep sky blue.
But if you want to just want to go through a bunch of like 20-something blade colors, you can. I'm going to hit aux to revert.
Revert.
Because I have programmed these specifically to NPXL specifications. Now again, remember, it won't change necessarily the crystal various colors or the crystal strip colors. It should just only affect. If you want to get into the nitty gritty, you can jump into edit mode, and then you can edit the on, the clash colors, the blast colors for each blade. And I've set it up in the config very simply such that it's always going to be the main blade first, if that's the only one you ever want to edit, and then it will go upper crystal, crystal strip, and then lower crystal. And that's your 4 different blade styles per preset. I also, in the config, have like a little template at the very end. If you want to add different presets in the future, you can. Now I've only programmed the Starfall font package. However, my SD cards come from when I buy the Proffie with a bunch of other just kind of like random sound fonts. So those are still on the card. The only way to get to them is to either do edit mode or to program your own config. I've only set this up for the Starfall font package. Now, with regard to color change on the fly, there's one preset that does not apply to, and that's Cornhorn. And the reason for that is, and I'll go ahead and open up this grip a little bit, is because it's supposedly lore that Cornhorn had a dual phase crystal. And so you'll notice the main crystal is white and the secondary crystal is purple. So that's the true of the 2 different blade colors. So if you do blade color change on the fly, when the blade's on, holding aux and tapping power, you're just gonna flip-flop between those 2 colors. So you'll only ever see when the grip is on the main crystal, but essentially these 2 will flip, and the same thing goes, the main blade will go from white to purple. So let's demonstrate that real quick. Take my hand off the lower crystal. Now if I hold aux and tap power, see if we can watch it. Hopefully you can tell that the shine here is like a light purple, and then on the crystals, they switch. So that is color change on the fly, and that's only true of the core and horn font. Everything else, you'll jump into that menu, and depending whether or not there was a voice pack available, you'll get somebody telling you all the different colors, just like we demonstrated there with Obi-Wan. So
Legacy.
that is pretty much it. We'll go show off a couple more here. So here's the last of the 3 brand new sound fonts that came with themed with the newest Starfall releases of Legacy, Ascension, and what's the last one? Can't remember, but
Alliance.
Alliance, that's the second one. So and you'll notice all 3 of these last ones had, like, it's really quick, but a quick little pre-on.
Ascension.
And then the very last preset, like I mentioned,
Battery level.
battery level. So if you have your blade in, you'll see this little bubble. And it's, again, this is programmed for 36-inch length. So when it's fully charged, it'll be all the way out here to the tip. The onboard accents, so we're not seeing the lower crystal, but that one will as well. But those will go from green to red. From any preset, you can hold power and tap aux to get a percentage.
Enter volume menu.
Oops, other way around.
Volume menu end.
Hold aux tap power.
Battery level 80%.
So that is the default voice pack that you're hearing, which is Starkiller from Brian Connor. So since this is a Starkiller hilt, that made sense. Now again, every other font, if it's specific to a character, like we demonstrated, you'll hear somebody else. But if there is none, or if, like I said, you add presets in the future and you don't necessarily have those voice packs available to you, then it will always sound like that. So that is the Saber. When we're ready, we can undo the blade, put the blade plug back in, and then we'll pull the grip out to hit the kill switch. So there's our blade plug. Cinch that down. Undo the grip retention. Now keep in mind this was intended, like I said, on the drop down, for this to always be centered with the crystal chamber. Truth be told, you can pretty much do it anywhere you want, but since it does kind of mar up the finish there, you can see that, you'll end up with a bunch of them all the way around if you don't keep it. But with the kill switch, all the lights turn off and we're good to go. So that is the Saber. To the customer, if you have any questions, let me know via email. And to everyone else out there, thanks for watching, and may the force be with you.